You may not be lazy. You may not be weak. You may not be without ability. You may simply be living without a definite direction, and a life without direction can make even a capable man look defeated. He may rise each day, work, speak, plan, worry, promise himself change, and still feel as though he is walking in circles. Not because there is no strength in him, but because strength without direction spends itself without building anything solid. A drifting life is not always empty. Sometimes it is crowded with duties that do not lead anywhere, crowded with opinions that confuse the mind, crowded with unfinished plans, scattered desires, delayed decisions, and old disappointments that still command attention. A man may have motion in every part of his life and still lack movement toward a chosen end. Do not confuse activity with direction. A ship may move upon the water and yet be lost. Its sails may be full. Its crew may be laboring. Its ropes may be tight. Its timbers may be strong. But if no harbor has been chosen, the movement itself becomes danger. Wind helps only the ship that knows where it is going. Your life is the same. Before you ask for more energy, more opportunity, more favor, or more speed, ask where the whole life is being carried. Ask what central purpose has the right to command your time, discipline your habits, govern your decisions, and give meaning to your sacrifice. If no such purpose exists, then the first repair is not harder work. The first repair is direction. A definite direction begins when a man stops living by accident. He stops allowing every disturbance, every desire, every fear, and every passing invitation to decide his course. He stands still long enough to ask the severe question, what am I building? Many avoid this question because the answer may expose how long they have drifted. But exposure is not destruction. It is the beginning of recovery. A man cannot turn back toward purpose while pretending he has not wandered. He must first admit, without drama and without self-hatred, I have lost my definite direction. This admission is not weakness. It is command returning. The man who admits he is lost has already stopped being fully lost because he is no longer mistaking the wrong road for the right one. Confusion becomes dangerous when it calls itself wisdom. Drift becomes fatal when it calls itself patience. Delay becomes expensive when it calls itself waiting for the right time. Name the condition honestly. If you are drifting, say so. If your aims are scattered, say so. If your habits have no central master, say so. If your days are busy but your purpose is unclear, say so. Truth is the first compass. Without truth, every plan is decoration. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of achievement. This is not a phrase to admire and then forget. It is a law. The mind cannot organize its highest power around uncertainty. Desire may be strong, but if it is scattered among too many objects, it becomes weak in result. Energy may be abundant, but if it is spent in many directions, it cannot strike deeply. Definiteness gathers. It gathers thought. It gathers effort. It gathers decision. It gathers opportunity. It gathers the man himself into one direction. When direction is lost, the man becomes divided. One part of him wants advancement. Another part wants comfort. One part wants discipline. Another part wants ease. One part dreams of wealth. Another part wastes what is already in hand. One part seeks respect. Another part continues habits that reduce self-respect. Such division exhausts the soul. A divided man tires even before the work begins because he spends his strength arguing with himself. He must decide again every morning whether he is serious. He must persuade himself again every evening that change is still possible. He must restart what should have been continued. A definite direction ends much of this argument. It says, this is the road. Once the road is chosen, every step can be measured. The question becomes simple. Does this action move me toward the chosen purpose or away from it? Does this habit strengthen the future I claim to desire or weaken it? Does this association clarify my direction or pull me back into drift? Direction gives judgment. Without direction, even good things can become distractions. A good opportunity may be wrong for your purpose. A pleasant association may weaken your discipline. A profitable offer may carry you away from your deeper aim. A comfortable routine may preserve your present condition while quietly stealing the future. You need a standard higher than desire. That standard is definite purpose. To recover direction, begin by clearing the noise. A confused mind cannot choose wisely while every old voice is still shouting. There are voices of regret, fear, envy, resentment, pride, and borrowed ambition. Each one wants to vote on your future. Do not allow every voice to vote. Regret says, you are too late. Fear says, you are not capable. Envy says, follow another man's path. Pride says, choose what will impress others. Resentment says, build your life to answer those who doubted you. But purpose speaks differently. Purpose asks, what is worth building even if no one applauds at first? Listen for that voice. A life cannot be fixed by choosing an aim merely to escape shame. If your direction is born only from the desire to prove someone wrong, that person remains secretly in command. If your direction is chosen only to impress the crowd becomes your master. If your direction is borrowed from another man's success, your own soul may never agree with the road. Choose a direction that can survive silence. Choose one that agrees with service, character, ability, faith, and the kind of person you are willing to become. This does not mean the direction must be perfect at once. Many men refuse to choose because they fear choosing imperfectly. They wait for a shining revelation, a complete map, and a guarantee that no hardship will follow. While they wait, life continues moving, but not under their command. Do not demand perfect certainty before choosing the next right direction. Begin with honest clarity. Ask what burden you are willing to carry. Ask what work you respect enough to repeat. Ask what problem you can serve with patience. Ask what ability has been neglected but still calls for development. Ask what future would make today's sacrifice meaningful. These questions will not always answer with thunder. Sometimes they answer quietly. A persistent interest. A repeated burden. A skill that refuses to stay buried. A kind of service that gives dignity to effort. A vision of life that returns even after disappointment. Pay attention. Direction often begins as an inner insistence that will not leave. But insistence must be tested. Do not confuse every passing desire with destiny. A passing desire excites and disappears. A worthy direction continues, asking for discipline after the excitement fades. Test the direction by price. Are you willing to study for it? Are you willing to simplify for it? Are you willing to refuse lesser things for it? Are you willing to continue when progress is slow? Are you willing to become the person it requires? If not, the desire may be only a mood. If yes, you may have found the beginning of a definite aim. Once you identify the aim, reduce it into language. A purpose that cannot be stated cannot easily be obeyed. Write it plainly. Do not dress it in decorative words. Make it strong enough to command the day. Say what you intend to build. Say why it matters. Say what value you will give. Say what habits must change. Say what first steps must be taken. This written statement becomes a line in the sand. It separates drift from decision. It gives the mind something to return to when confusion rises. But do not worship the statement. Obey it. Many people write noble aims and then live contrary to them. The paper says one thing. The day says another. The day tells the truth. If your direction is real, it must enter your schedule, your spending, your study, your associations, your speech, your rest, and your work. A direction that does not change the day has not yet become definite. Begin with one daily act that serves the new direction. Not 10. One act performed faithfully can begin restoring command. If your direction requires knowledge, appoint an hour for study. If it requires health, appoint a discipline for the body. If it requires financial order, begin with exact records. If it requires service, create one useful work. If it requires leadership, begin by governing yourself. The first act must be simple enough to begin and serious enough to matter. Do not try to rebuild the entire life in one dramatic day. Drifting may have taken time to form. Direction will take time to restore. But do not use time as an excuse. Begin at once. A life changes when one part of it is brought under command. That command spreads. One ordered hour begins challenging a disordered day. One kept promise begins challenging a history of broken promises. One disciplined action begins challenging the identity of weakness. The mind receives evidence that a new direction has authority. Evidence is important. You may not believe fully in the new direction at first. Doubt may still appear. Old habits may still pull. Past failure may still speak. Do not wait until belief feels complete. Build beliefs through action. Keep promises to the direction until the direction becomes believable. Self-trust returns through obedience. If you have lived long in drift, you may have lost trust in your own decisions. You may have made many promises and failed to keep them. Do not curse yourself for this. Rebuild. Trust is rebuilt the same way it was lost. By repetition, small obedience repeated, small completion repeated, small correction repeated, small courage repeated. This is how direction becomes identity. But you must also remove what continually pulls you back into confusion. A man cannot fix direction while preserving every source of drift. Some associations must be limited. Some habits must be broken. Some unnecessary obligations must be refused. Some old ambitions must be buried. Some distractions must lose permission to enter the best hours. A definite direction requires subtraction. You cannot carry everything into the new road. If you try, the old weight will slow you until you begin believing the direction is impossible. The direction may not be impossible. You may simply be dragging too much behind you. Ask what must be released. Not everything pleasant is permitted. Not everything familiar is useful. Not every relationship strengthens purpose. Not every opportunity deserves acceptance. Not every desire belongs in the future. Choose what can travel with the aim and what must be left behind. This may hurt because drift often hides inside comfortable things. But comfort that destroys direction is not a friend. It is a soft enemy. It asks little today and takes much tomorrow. Be firm. The man who has lost direction must become careful about what he allows to shape him. He must choose his influences deliberately. He must seek minds that respect purpose, not those who baptize confusion as freedom. He must listen to counsel that calls him upward, not merely counsel that comforts his delay. You need encouragement, yes, but you also need truth. Truths may tell you that your habits are too loose, your aim too vague, your excuses too polished, your days too ungoverned. Receive it. A man who wants direction must not be offended by the map. The map is not insulting you. It is showing the road. And once the road begins to appear, you must understand that direction is not restored by one decision alone. It must be protected daily, because the old life will call you back through comfort, fear, confusion, and the temptation to live again without a chosen aim. And the old life does not always call loudly. Sometimes it calls gently. It invites you back through small compromises, harmless delays, familiar conversations, comfortable routines, and the quiet belief that one day without direction will not matter. But a life does not usually lose its course in one great collapse. It loses direction through repeated permissions. A little disorder permitted, a little postponement excused, a little aimlessness tolerated, a little truth avoided, a little discipline delayed until the road that once seemed clear becomes covered again. You must protect direction as though it were a flame in the wind. A flame can warm a house, light a path, and awaken courage in darkness, but it must be guarded. Leave it exposed carelessly, and the same wind that could have strengthened it may extinguish it. Your purpose is the same. It must be protected from influences that scatter the mind, weaken the will, and make drift feel natural again. Do not assume that because you have chosen a direction, direction will now protect itself. It will not. A definite aim must be fed. It must be remembered. It must be acted upon. It must be defended when lesser desires ask for entrance. The man who chooses a purpose in the morning and forgets it by afternoon has not yet established direction. He has only experienced a moment of clarity. Clarity must become government. Government means order. It means something has authority. It means the day is not ruled by accident. It means the man does not ask every hour what he feels like doing, but what his purpose requires. It means the strongest aim is given the right to command weaker impulses. If your purpose cannot command your impulses, then your impulses will command your purpose. This is where many men fail after choosing a new road. They believe the decision itself will carry them, but the decision is only the gate. The road still requires walking. The old habits do not vanish because a new desire has spoken. They test the desire. They ask whether it is serious. They return at familiar hours and offer familiar excuses. The old life knows your weaknesses. It knows where you delay. It knows where you seek approval. It knows where you become tired. It knows what temptation can make you forget your aim. Do not treat it lightly. A man who is careless with his old weaknesses will soon be ruled by them again. Prepare against them. If disorder has always weakened you, build order before disorder returns. If fatigue causes you to abandon duty, arrange your most important work before strength is spent. If certain associations pull you into aimless talk and old thinking, limit the influence. If vague planning has ruined you before, make the next action definite. Do not merely wish to be different. Design against the patterns that defeated you. A recovered direction must be supported by structure. The man who says, "I know where I'm going," but arranges nothing around that knowledge will not go far. The schedule must agree with the purpose. The habits must agree with the purpose. The money must agree with the purpose. The speech must agree with the purpose. The associations must agree with the purpose. Agreement creates power. Contradiction creates weakness. If a man says he desires wealth but spends without record, he is divided. If he says he desires influence but speaks without restraint, he is divided. If he says he desires wisdom but refuses study, he is divided. If he says he desires spiritual strength but neglects obedience, he is divided. A divided life cannot move with force. The first task after choosing direction is to make the life agree with the direction. Begin with the hour. The hour is the smallest kingdom over which you can immediately rule. Do not begin by trying to control the whole future. Govern 1 hour appointed to the purpose. Let that hour contain definite work, not vague intention. If the aim requires knowledge, study in that hour. If it requires production, produce in that hour. If it requires order, organize in that hour. If it requires courage, face one act of courage in that hour. The hour obeyed becomes the day's cornerstone. A man who cannot govern an hour should not boast of governing a destiny. Destiny is built from hours, and hours are shaped by decisions repeated until they become habit. A definite direction must therefore descend into the common hour, where the real test occurs. Do not wait for grand moments to prove seriousness. Prove it in the ordinary hour. The ordinary hour is where drift usually enters. It enters not through dramatic temptation, but through lack of command. A man sits before a duty and delays beginning. He tells himself he will attend to it soon. He allows his mind to wander into unnecessary concerns. He spends his strength on small matters that carry no connection to the central aim. By evening, the purpose remains untouched. This is how drift returns, not by force, by invitation. Refuse the invitation early. When the appointed hour begins, begin. Do not negotiate with reluctance. Reluctance is not a judge. It is only the voice of old habit asking whether it still has power. If you answer it with delay, it grows stronger. If you answer it with action, it weakens. Action is the language of renewed direction. A man who acts according to his chosen aim teaches the mind that the aim has authority. Each act becomes a vote for the new life. Each completed duty becomes a stone in the road. Each kept hour becomes evidence that the lost direction is being restored. But expect resistance. A life that has drifted does not immediately become steady. The mind may rebel against order. The body may resist discipline. Old desires may return with persuasive arguments. Past failure may whisper that this new attempt will end like the others. Do not argue long with the whisper. Answer with another step. You do not defeat old patterns by speeches. You defeat them by repeated obedience. The old self may not be convinced at first, but it can be weakened. Every day you obey direction, the old pattern loses ground. Every day you return after interruption, the old pattern loses confidence. Return is essential. You may stumble. You may waste an hour. You may fall into an old habit for a moment. Do not turn one stumble into a surrender. The man recovering direction must learn to return quickly. Slow return gives drift time to rebuild its throne. Quick return keeps the purpose alive. Do not say, I have failed again, so the whole road is lost. Say, I have stepped aside, and now I return. Then return. This single habit can rescue a life. The habit of return is stronger than the illusion of never falling. A man who expects perfection may quit after one mistake. A man who expects resistance and prepares to return can continue through many corrections. Correct without drama. Drama wastes the energy that should be used for the next step. Some people turn every mistake into a ceremony of self-condemnation. They punish themselves with words, rehearse the failure, and call their shame seriousness. But shame without correction is not seriousness. It is another delay. Take the lesson. Repair what can be repaired. Move again. Direction is restored through movement. Another protection against drift is review. A man who does not review his direction will soon be governed by whatever happens to be nearest. Set a time to examine the day, not with cruelty, with command. Ask whether the day served the purpose or merely consumed life. What did I do that moved me toward the aim? What did I do that moved me away? What did I avoid because it required courage? What must be corrected tomorrow? What one act should receive first place? These questions return the mind to the road. They prevent days from passing without instruction. A day examined becomes a teacher. A day ignored becomes only time spent. Review also exposes false progress. You may be busy, but the review will ask whether the business served the direction. You may be tired, but the review will ask whether the tiredness came from useful effort or scattered obligation. You may have pleased many people, but the review will ask whether you betrayed the central purpose. Be willing to know the answer. Truth gives direction its strength. If the review reveals waste, do not despair. Waste discovered is waste weakened. Before discovery, it ruled in secret. After discovery, it can be corrected. This is why honest review is not an enemy. It is a lamp. Carry the lamp daily. A life that has lost direction often contains many hidden leaks. Time leaks through delay. Money leaks through impulse. Strength leaks through resentment. Confidence leaks through broken promises. Attention leaks through unnecessary conflict. Review reveals the leaks. Then, discipline repairs them. Do not attempt to repair every leak in one day. Choose the one that is costing the most. Begin there. If your greatest leak is time, protect the first working hour. If your greatest leak is money, keep exact accounts. If your greatest leak is speech, practice restraint before response. If your greatest leak is association, withdraw from the influence that keeps you small. One repaired leak may restore surprising strength. A man may think he lacks power when power is merely escaping. Stop the escape, and the same life becomes stronger. This is especially true of attention. Direction cannot survive if attention is given to every disturbance. You must become selective. Not every matter deserves your thought. Not every opinion deserves a reply. Not every fear deserves investigation. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Attention is life in its finest form. Where attention goes repeatedly, life begins to follow. If your attention constantly returns to regret, you will live backward. If it constantly returns to comparison, you will live outside yourself. If it constantly returns to fear, you will live beneath possibility. If it returns daily to your definite purpose, you will begin living forward. Guard attention. This may require silence. Not empty silence, but disciplined silence. There are times when a man must stop explaining himself to everyone and return to the work. Speech can scatter direction when it is used too early, too often, or before the work has gained strength. A purpose spoken before it is practiced may receive enough praise or criticism to weaken action. Let your direction become visible first through conduct. Conduct is harder to argue with than intention. When your habits begin changing, when your work becomes consistent, when your speech becomes controlled, when your affairs become ordered, people will see that direction has returned. You will not need to announce it. The life itself will announce it. This quiet rebuilding is powerful. It protects the aim from premature judgment and strengthens self-respect. The man who rebuilds quietly is not hiding from responsibility. He is giving the new direction time to grow roots before exposing it to every wind. Roots first, branches later. Do not hurry to display the new road. Walk it. The walking will create evidence. Evidence will create confidence. Confidence will create steadiness. Steadiness will create result. A life that has lost direction is not fixed by excitement. Excitement may begin the repair, but steadiness completes it. Excitement says, I will change everything. Steadiness says, I will obey today. Excitement makes vows. Steadiness keeps appointments. Excitement speaks of the future. Steadiness governs the hour. Choose steadiness. If excitement comes, use it, but do not depend on it. If it leaves, continue. Direction must not be tied to emotion. It must be tied to decision. The man who walks only when feeling is strong will not walk long. Let decision govern feeling. This is the beginning of self-mastery. When a man can continue according to direction despite changing mood, he has begun to reclaim command. He is no longer drifting upon inner weather. He has selected a course, but direction must also be protected from discouragement. When a man has drifted for a long time, he may become discouraged by how much repair remains. He sees the neglected habits, lost time, damaged confidence, disordered affairs, and unfinished duties, and he wonders whether recovery is possible. Do not let the size of the repair make you abandon the first tool. Every restored life begins with one corrected thing. 1. The room is not put in order by staring at the whole disorder. It is put in order by lifting what belongs first. Then the next. A life is the same. Correct the next matter. Keep the next promise. Govern the next hour. Finish the next duty. The whole life will not be repaired by despairing over the whole life. It will be repaired by obeying the next definite command. This is why direction must become practical. If your purpose remains too grand to touch, it will intimidate you. Bring it down into the next act. If the aim is to rebuild financial strength, today's act may be one honest account. If the aim is to restore discipline, today's act may be one protected hour. If the aim is to develop ability, today's act may be one lesson practiced with attention. The next act is sacred when it belongs to the purpose. Do it with respect. Do not say, this is too small. A small act aligned with direction is greater than a large act born from confusion. The value of an action is not only its size, but its relation to the aim. A small rudder can turn a great ship. A small habit can turn a great life. Let the small aligned act begin turning yours. And as these acts accumulate, you will discover that direction is not merely something you choose once. It becomes something you renew, protect, and strengthen until the whole life begins to move with one purpose. But before that unity becomes stable, you must face the deeper reason direction was lost in the first place: the absence of a chief aim strong enough to command sacrifice. And without a chief aim strong enough to command sacrifice, direction will remain fragile. A man may become inspired for a short season. He may write a new plan, begin a new routine, speak with fresh energy, and feel that the old drift has finally been broken. But if the aim is too weak to demand a price, it will not hold him when comfort asks to be obeyed. It will not hold him when friends misunderstand. It will not hold him when the first difficulty rises. It will not hold him when the old habits return with familiar arguments. Your aim must be stronger than your excuses. It must be stronger than your moods. It must be stronger than the approval you seek from others. If the aim cannot command sacrifice, it is not yet a definite purpose. It is merely a desire with pleasant language. A definite purpose has authority. It tells comfort to wait. It tells fear to step aside. It tells pride to be quiet. It tells the body when to rise, the mind what to study, the hand what to complete, and the tongue